Thank you all for coming out here today. It's great to be in the District of Columbia. We are the #1 city in America today, the most dynamic city, the most fiscally responsible city, the city with the most development taking place, really the city where everyone wants to come to. And that's a far cry from where we were, and this neighborhood is just another example of how much we have achieved. So thank you all for being here, and God bless.
Good afternoon. Let me hear you all say 15. 15. Let me hear it again. 15. 15. What number is Logan Circle Heritage Trail on the city's heritage trails? 15. How many signs are there on the Logan Circle Heritage Trail? 15. And if you add 2 years to it, how many years has Cultural Tourism DC been serving the district? All right, give yourself a hand for the mathematic lesson. Thank you, everybody. It is my distinct pleasure to be able to take the podium today in this fabulous company and all these friends that we have of the organization of the city here behind me. It's a great day in the neighborhood, as Steve said.
The signature part of Cultural Tourism DC is our heritage trails, the system. And this is the 15th dedication that we've had here at Logan Circle. And I'm just delighted to be here. I'm the new executive director, been here 3 months. I'd served on the board previously, so I attended some of the other unveilings, but you know, when you're up there and you're welcoming people and you see the enthusiasm of what people are doing, it's pretty compelling. With that said, it's not the only thing that we do. We have a thing coming up called Arts for All DC, where we work with many of our 250 member organizations, and we take the arts into the neighborhoods.
When I first moved to Logan Circle in 1989, and saw the trajectory of the neighborhood begin to go up, 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 I was convinced that everything that happened around this neighborhood happened by accident or serendipity. It was only after living here for about 10 years that I realized that nothing that is great about the Logan Circle neighborhood has happened by accident, but is instead the result of the efforts of a very small group of very, very committed activist individuals. And some of those people are here with us today, and for that we are very, very grateful.
We bought our house back in the 1970s when Mayor Maren Barry instructed the DC Housing Department to sell 14 empty houses. 750 people applied for these houses. Houses ranged in the price from $10,000 to $40,000. Owners had to be able to rehab the house with a 3% HUD loan and rent the English basement apartments to families under Section 8 for 5 years. Our house was the most extensively damaged because of the fire that caused the 1968 riot during the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I, at that time, could not have envisioned a burnt-out pink building as my dream home. My husband was a Washingtonian, but I must say we were not pioneers. At the time, during the 1940s, there were respected professional and businessmen, African Americans, maintaining residence in the circle. Right behind you, halfway the block on Vermont Avenue, was the Mary McLeod Bethune home. She was the founder of the National Council of Negro Women. There on the corner is the Fletcher Art Center, #1 and #2, where my husband taught architecture and design. It is an honor to have his picture and his history on sign #2. Further around the circle, there's Daddy Grace House, the founder of the United House of Prayer. He resigned at #11. Today, they still have their annual memorial parade that attracts thousands of people. Also, in #8, 2 prominent attorneys, Belford and Marguerite Lawson, lived. And on the 3rd floor of their building, the Congressman Adam Clayton Powell from New York resigned. The Lawsons moved out of their house in 1958. The property was later purchased by Congressman John Lewis of Georgia. Dr. Thomas Smith, who practiced medicine in the area for 40 years, owned and lived at number 14 Logan Circle. His daughter, Thurl Smith, has lived there for 83 years. She is the longest residing resident in the circle. Please, Miss Thurl, will you stand up?
83 years. I've been living in that house for 83 years. I was 12 years old when we moved here. My father's Dr. Smith. He had 5 daughters. And this is where the 5 of us grew up, right there. But the only thing I don't like is that they've taken all our sidewalks. When they put the street through here, they took our sidewalks. And then when they closed the street, they didn't give us our sidewalks right back. And I used to walk here to Dunbar High School, the old Dunbar. And it was quiet. It was quiet. Washington, it was totally different. As the people moved out to rushed out to the suburbs and built this street, then they left houses for rooming houses.
I'm so happy to be here representing Mayor Gray, along with my good colleague Terry Bellamy, for the launch of the newest DC neighborhood heritage trail for this wonderful neighborhood, Logan Circle. Spreading the word about DC's unique and historic neighborhoods is an important part of maintaining that rich heritage. Last month, our Historic Preservation Office, Steve Colcott was here. I don't know if he is still here, but from our office, was part of a forum that we sponsored with the community and the DC Humanities Council. We asked an important question: does preserving history help build community? And we got a resounding yes to that question, as people shared stories from their neighborhoods across the city, where we've been conducting with the Humanities Council oral histories with our older residents, working to document the history of churches and important institutions and neighborhoods, collecting and posting old community photographs online, and seeking protection for and restoration of important buildings. The Heritage Trails program here in Logan Circle and in dozens of other neighborhoods where they've been installed is a great example of how our city's history helps to build a sense of community and connection. Particularly in a city like ours, a lot of the speakers have talked about how rapidly we're changing as a city. 1,100 people a month are moving to DC now. It's the heritage of the DC neighborhoods and of the people who came before that provides us a critical link between the old residents and the new residents. That's why the DC Office of Planning supports the Heritage Trails system and its role in collecting and preserving the important stories about Washington. Hats off to Cultural Tourism DC and to founder Kathy Smith, who actually dreamed up this innovative way to bring history to the streets nearly 15 years ago.
We talk about really how to be an audience member. That's yes, we've got the Kennedy Center, we've got Arena for the stage here, unbelievable programming, but a lot of times people are skeptical to put their big toe in and try it, and Arts for All DC lets them do that at very little cost. In fact, most things are free. In addition to that, we have a program called Passport DC that brings the international flavor, the diplomatic community of Washington that's so unique.
So without further ado, Ambassador An Yo-hong. And I see all of you making very good use of your fan with the Korean marks on it. So, well, I'm very glad looking at all of you making such good use of Korean fan. And using a Korean fan, I guess soon enough you will be turning all yourselves into Korean fans, fans of Korea, right? But at the same time, why not, right? Why not, right? But at the same time, when I arrived, and I think I heard some of you murmuring, what does Korean ambassador have to do with Heritage Trail? Because this is Logan Circle. As Derek said, one of the most historic areas in Washington, D.C. So what does a Korean ambassador has to do? I heard some of you murmuring that. And for that question, I think I have a very, very short answer, which is, what does Korea have to do with the Logan Circle? A lot, right? A lot.
The area has had a lot of transitions since it was first developed. I mean, it's had its ups and its downs. And at the time that the Korean legation was located here, this was very diverse. This was a circle that had been developed not very long before. It's remarkable what you start discovering about what's in your backyard once you start scratching the surface and looking at the history. So it's wonderful that we've been able to reconnect with the Korean government, and that they'll have a place here in the neighborhood that will hopefully cause people to come here that might not otherwise, and then can explore the rest of the wonderful history that we have here. The building at 15 Logan Circle that one time was the Korean legation, and it talks about the gentleman that built the building, and also the adjacent building in 1502 13th Street Northwest. It seems that after it was no longer the Korean legation, it was a World War II era recreation center for African Americans, and then Teamsters union local offices. So an awful lot going on there, both in the private and the public realms, you know, and in a building that has stood the test of time.
And thank you very much for inviting me. I bring you greetings from Mayor Vincent C. Gray and the rest of the DDOT family. A year ago, September, I was with Jane in the Cultural Center on H Street as we did the H Street. And during the course of the year, I must admit that we relied on them almost solely as we continue to keep the signs updated and in great.
The 15th trail, 15 signs here in Logan Circle. This is a fantastic neighborhood, and I think this trail really highlights the changes that this neighborhood has been through and the people in the community who made those changes happen. That's the recurring theme that you'll see on the signs today and with our tour guides.
Okay, great. And how many tour guides do we have?
We have 4 tour guides today, going to all different portions of the trail and talking about a lot of different elements of the history of the neighborhood.
And what did it take to organize all this? When did you start?
We have been working on this since probably early May. As soon as we got the schedule for when the signs would go in the ground, started planning the launch celebration.
And you made a call upstairs and said, look, man, we really need this to be a nice day for us and hold off the rain and that kind of thing,
yes,
at least till 5 o'clock.
Knew we were taking a big risk doing an afternoon in the summer. Might be a risk of thunderstorms, but we got lucky.
Superb. Thank you. Congratulations to you and everyone involved.
We had some refreshments here donated by Whole Foods Market on P Street, and then we are having the reception at Studio Theater, where we're going to have refreshments from a number of local businesses. It's a little taste of Logan Circle.
I actually rode this trail.
Did you?
Yeah. So I had to be here. I'm giving a tour. I'm going to be leading a tour along P Street over to 14th to talk about Automobile Row, the auto showrooms that still line 14th Street today.
That still line 14th Street?
Yeah, and that have been converted into, many of them have been converted into theaters.
Such as the studio,
so we're going
right?
to talk about, we're going to talk about Automobile Row, and then the Theater District Studio. Source was there. The arena stage was there. Keegan was there. There were a lot of
The arena stage, which is now in Southwest DC.
Yeah, yeah. They had a presence on 14th for a long time, and the Woolly Mammoth, which is now downtown, also started out at 14th and Church.
Thank you, Derek, Ambassador Hahn, Councilmember Evans, Directors Tregoning and Bellamy. I want to thank all the supporters and advertisers who made this launch celebration possible. You'll find their names in the program, but I want to make sure to recognize Whole Foods Market P Street and Logan Circle Community Association. They are really special friends of ours, and I thank them very much. Please join me in thanking my staff for the hard work they do every day. We're more than a neighborhood heritage trail you see all across the city. We promote cultural, tourism, DC members, and the cultural community, and produce such outstanding events as Embassy Chef Challenge, Passport DC, Art for All DC, and Walking Town DC.
I was speaking with one of your former ambassadors, that's to say, American ambassador to Seoul. And I explained all of these wonderful things happening at Logan Circle. And the ambassador looked at me and then said, well, Mr. Ambassador, you must be proud of your forefathers. And I looked back and I asked the ambassador, why do you say that? And then the ambassador said, well, you see, I lived in the city, Washington, D.C. for a long, long time. And let us think about what are trendy spots in this town. Well, first, Georgetown was hot. I wonder if any one of you is from Georgetown. You are? sorry, but Georgetown is out of fashion. I mean, that's what the ambassador said, right? And then it changed to Dupont Circle. Any one of you coming from Dupont Circle? Sorry. The ambassador said Dupont Circle is out of fashion as well. Now the hot place is Logan Circle. So congratulations.